State Farm is an insurance company with a seemingly unlimited marketing budget. The company is responsible for some of the most iconic commercials of the last
See
decade.
the French model.
Bonjour.
Their numero uno being the original Jake from State Farm, which was so iconic that kids wore it for Halloween. Now, years removed from the classic Jake from State Farm commercial, State Farm has built up its marketing empire with lots of help from reoccurring characters. Characters such as this guy, played by the legendary J.K. Simmons, who always says, "We know a thing or two because we have seen a thing or two." Those commercials usually develop with like a crazy situation going on, and then another crazy thing happens, and then it cuts to J.K., who's like, "And that's why we cover squirrels and your parents. We know a thing or two because we have seen a thing or two." It's brilliant stuff, and some of them are actually pretty solid, honestly. I'm a huge J.K. Simmons fan, though, so I might be biased, especially when he played Spider-Man. Some other classic State Farm commercials include the "Like a Good Neighbor, State Farm is there." They should bring those back, I think. They were also pretty good from what I remember. They were the ones where the agents would literally just like teleport to an incident of some kind and just say, "Yep, we can cover that."
And can I get a hot tub?
What if they just like teleported into the middle of the ocean and just like drowned? Or like teleported to some creep sex chamber where they were never let out? I want to see that commercial. Anyhow, State Farm has clearly paved its own path in the marketing world with these classic series of commercials. They are on TV every single time I turn it on and always seem to appear during the biggest sports moments. Most famously, the Super Bowl, which is like the marketing mecca. But with football a whole season away, as of right now, the NBA playoffs are what's hot, and basketball just happens to be what the State Farm company has its stranglehold on. This brings me to my next point with State Farm, their collaborations. They clearly have a partnership with the NBA. I see it just about every time I watch an NBA game. And as of this year, they have started bringing in players from the NBA to appear on commercials, and even act in some cases, which goes as well as you'd expect.
Robbery. Mama's got no rings.
Really, baby?
Chris Paul, for example, future Hall of Famer, one of the best point guards to ever play the game, and recent choke artist, has had a whole series of ads with State Farm, most notably with his entire real family, which is an issue of itself that I won't get into, but you know, to each his own, I guess. At one point, he broke the fourth wall when he hears the State Farm jingle in the ad and is like, "Oh my god, guys, it's Jake from State Farm, get to the shelter."
That State Farm thing. Da-da-da-da-da. I think we're in a commercial. Jake from State Farm.
Like it's some overarching entity that is just like controlling his life. Some remorseless demigod with unlimited controlling power and total domination over the Paul family. It's probably the reason the Suns lost. Anyway, now with basketball players, they obviously aren't the most charismatic, so a mediator is needed to bring it all together to get the message across. Here comes Jake from State Farm 2.0, now with a nicer smile. This guy right here got the gig of a lifetime. A struggling actor who is suddenly the face of $1 billion corporation and who's on national TV just about every time you turn it on. Good for him. He was also in Tall Girl 2, which is strange, and he has like one line and he absolutely butchers it. So hopefully he stays with State Farm for a long time. It's just like the Mayhem guy who has like one line in John Wick, and everyone's like, "Oh my god, it's the Mayhem guy in John Wick." But although I also don't think Jake is the most charismatic, that smile and that voice of his are just so pure that he really has developed this specific and friendly persona of Jake.
Just like they assume they can't afford great insurance. But State Farm has rates that fit any budget.
Just want to hug him and squeeze him real tight. But all of this is old news. Jake has been around for a while, and so has Chris Paul. Chris Paul's been around so long, actually, that he plays another character now called Cliff Paul, which is supposedly Chris's fake brother. Yeah. What are we selling again? Insurance, right? Anyway, from Chris Paul making millions likely off this deal and State Farm getting pretty good PR and awareness, why would they ever stop? And why would they just focus on Chris Paul? This is the state where we're in today. I think a state that will only continue to develop and most likely get to the point where there is a full-on commercial cinematic universe at hand, with multiple characters, crossover events, cameos, the full-on shtick.
I like it.
I think this is because State Farm will simply not slow down. Recently, State Farm acquired Boban Marjanovic, who's this behemoth of a man. He barely gets any minutes in the NBA, but has one of the best offensive ratings of all time when he does play. He's like me, lasts 2 minutes and makes the other side very disappointed, as well as signing this shifty little man, Trae Young, New York's least favorite human being alive. Now this is the part where I draw the line. This is the reason State Farm needs to be stopped. They're getting too powerful. They're creating their own alternate reality, a false reality, and one that I'm terrified of. So a few months ago, a new commercial popped up with Chris Paul taking pictures for some professional picture taking thing. He goes onto the screen and jumps in the air and begins to float, showing that he is really good not only at jumping, but he's used to taking these photos. Already a bad sign. As you know, floating is an illegal, immoral, and impossible task. Then it cuts to Jake saying, like, buy insurance or some shit. I think he's holding a Taiwanese woman hostage during this part, but I might be misremembering that. But like a month after this first commercial has been roaming around, a new version dropped. A version with one added shot and a fake Trae Young in the background that looks like straight up nightmare fuel. So now the ad goes like this. It starts with Trae Young jumping and taking pictures before Chris Paul goes and floats away like the sinner that he is. But when it cuts back to Jake and he starts talking about his insurance bullshit, you have this like full-on, lifelike, animatronic, abomination, CGI, curse against God itself version of Trae Young, literally doing nothing and looking off into space. What the hell is this? Who said yes to this? It is disturbing. It's like super uncanny valley territory and I hate it. The future is a scary, scary place. Now I know Trae just probably signed a contract for like $10 million to appear in this amount of commercials over this amount of time or whatever. But couldn't you just let him hop on the next one? Why edit him so noticeably and crudely? It looks awful. His next commercial came out like a week later with all of the new acquisitions, including this WNBA player. I'm sure it saved the company money and had Trae Young do less work, which is good because he's not a great actor in any of these. I mean, it's not like I expect him to be a good actor. He looks like a lollipop that was just dropped in the backseat of a car. But I do expect to at least understand one word that he says. In the second, his first real commercial, which came out a bit later, you cannot understand a word that he says.
Here you go. Thanks, John Crow.
And that's the reason I called this woman a WNBA player and not her real name. Because I have no idea what the hell he says. But anyway, State Farm needs to be stopped, or else they will not stop growing in power until they have the rights to every single player to finish their cinematic universe. We've already got multiple appearances from this pizza girl Parker, Chris Paul, J.K. Simmons, and of course the one and only Jake from State Farm. They have too much marketing power and too much spending money to not let this continue. So while my eyes are being bleached from the TV and all of these ads, I know exactly who to call to set up my insurance. And his name is Boban.